First, the hot topic of the hour. Today, the Democrat socialist heads to Washington. President Trump will meet with New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani at the White House, where Mamdani will try to make the case on how he will lead the country's largest city. Here's how he says he'll find common ground with the commander-in-chief. Watch.
Last year, after the president won his second term, I went to two of the neighborhoods that saw the largest swings towards Republicans. When I asked those New Yorkers who they voted for and why, I met many who voted for President Trump, and they told me it was the affordability crisis. And they said that they remembered being able to afford their rent, their childcare, their Con Ed, their public transit more 4 years ago than they could in that moment. And we ran a campaign focused on the same thing, cost of living. And what we found, actually, is that 1 in 10 New Yorkers who voted for Trump ended up voting for our campaign.
Both the president and the mayor-elect have traded jabs for months at this point. Watch this.
My administration would be Donald Trump's worst nightmare.
I think he's frankly, I've heard he's a total nut job.
And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism.
He's a communist. He's not a socialist, by the way. There's a big difference. He's a communist. He's down and dirty. He's a communist.
There is no borough that will be free from Trump's cruelty.
Now it looks like we're going to have a communist mayor in New York. That'll be a lot of fun.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt did not mince words when she discussed it, previewing this upcoming meeting this morning. Watch.
It speaks volumes that tomorrow we have a communist coming to the White House, because that's who the Democrat Party elected as the mayor of the largest city in the country. I think it's very telling, but I also think it speaks to the fact that President Trump is willing to meet with anyone and talk to anyone and to try to do what's right on behalf of the American people, whether they live in blue states or red states.
And all of this comes as the House will vote this morning on a resolution denouncing socialism. That's coming up at 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll be watching that vote as well. Let's talk to the panel about this. Sonia, your reaction and expectations for today's big meeting.
Well, of course, we had to fly on the wall this morning, but I'm going to actually steal a line from the New York Post editorial board this morning ahead of this meeting between the president and Zohran Mamdani. Trump needs to remind Mamdani that Gotham is not above the rest of the country. They also write that he needs to be reminded that he cannot, of course, institute those state tax increases and those income tax increases and those corporate tax increases that he wants to do. The president needs to remind him of that. He also needs to remind him that we should not be seeing in our city what we saw on Wednesday night at the Park East Synagogue, when you had protesters trying to block Jewish worshipers from entering their own synagogue while yelling, "Globalize the Intifada," and saying, we need to make them scared. That was Wednesday night in this city. Kathy Hochul denounced it. Eric Adams denounced it. Zohran Mamdani, well, everyone should be allowed to worship the way that they want. He's already coming out and telling us exactly who he is. Maria, President Trump has lots of information about Zohran Mamdani. He needs to remind him that New York City and the nation are not in lockstep. We are a city of laws.
Yeah, and certainly there is a lot of issues these two disagree on. Todd Pyro, we'll see how this meeting goes, but I agree it'll be economy and it'll be Israel, the two main issues that they'll get into, as well as the sanctuary city status of New York City, Todd.
I 100% agree with everything that Cheryl just said. Let me just be contrarian in this regard, and hear me out on this. Donald Trump has surprised us for the better part of 10 years now. And Donald Trump is at his best when he is making that face-to-face connection with someone. Somehow magic always seems to happen in that moment. And so if there's going to be any president that could make this relationship actually be positive and fruitful, it is Donald J. Trump. But a big that said, the question comes down to the policy. Are socialism slash communism slash Marxism that far apart from capitalism, the way these two leaders view those institutions? to have any common ground. The world will be watching. This is a seminal moment, Maria.
Yeah, well, Mamdani needs to realize that it's going to be him that needs to work with President Trump.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to have to come to the middle to work with this president. Others, the president's going to hold back federal money to New York City. He's told us so much many times. Meanwhile, there's this. The Department of Justice is suing California Governor Gavin Newsom over a state law giving illegals access to in-state tuition benefits for college. Attorney General Mamdani says, quote, California is illegally discriminating against American students. This is the DOJ's third lawsuit in 1 week against Newsom, the governor's office calling the lawsuit, quote, meritless and politically motivated, adding, quote, good luck, Trump. We will see you in court. As Newsom remains a potential 2028 frontrunner for the Democrats, California Congressman Eric Swalwell now formally entering the race. He is throwing his hat into the state's gubernatorial race with an announcement on Jimmy Kimmel Live last night. Swalwell said that he wants to lower prices and defend California from the president, Todd. All right, enter Eric Swalwell. Miss Fang Fang.
I just don't see politically and economically how Eric Swalwell wins that primary. But again, stranger things have happened. But let's be crystal clear on this. The next governor of California, if it's a Democrat, look at the choices. You have Swalwell. You have that Katie Porter gal. You have Javier Becerra. This is not anybody that is that much better than Gavin Newsom. And so if you want change in California, you got to look at the Steve Hiltons of the world. Otherwise, California is just going to continue to do California things, and the rest of the country will have to deal with the results.
Yeah, all right, we will keep watching that. This is getting interesting here, this race in California. Wow, yeah, Katie Porter, that's something.